Welcome to the Politicrat. I'm Omar Moore. It is Saturday, April the 17th, 2021. On this edition of the Politicrat, Black Lives Matter forever. That coming up next. Welcome back. I hope you're well on this Saturday and that the day sees you in good health. I really do. Don't forget to get your vaccination. It's very, very important. This is just a really important thing. So you get vaccinated. Please, please do. Please. And be careful. Wear a mask. Once you're vaccinated, continue to wear your mask and don't forget to do that. Wash your hands. All of these things still apply until this virus is driven underground. And we have to keep doing these things. And we're going to probably have to keep doing them, if we're really honest, for at least another year, if not more. And whether or not how long we have to keep doing this for depends on how many of us are going to, A, get a vaccination, and B, continue to wear masks and physically distance. And remember to wash your hands. All of those things will make sure that we don't have to end up continuing to wear masks 2 years from now, a year from now, 3 years from now. And maybe we still will have to. I don't know. None of us knows. But for however long it takes, this is part of the new uniform, so please, please, continue to wear your mask and please get vaccinated and make sure you wear your mask after that as well. Thank you. Of course, the two other things I want to say briefly. The newsletter every day here at the Politicrat Daily Podcast is available at politicrat.substack.com. You can subscribe for free. It is available now. The most recent newsletter being yesterday's, Friday, April the 16th, 2021. So please subscribe and spread the word. Also, the Politicrat Daily Podcast online store for those of you who haven't been to the store yet, you can go there right now at the-politicrat.myshopify.com. Lots of great merchandise. Oh my goodness me. I can't wait to share with you what's coming to the store over the next few days. Oh, I'm really excited about this. And spring is here. So, of course, you're going to see a lot of t-shirts. But you're also going to see different kinds of merchandise as well for your needs. Believe me, this is the store you want to go to. So please visit the-politicrat.myshopify.com. Buy now. Thank you. So I want to share a story with you, which does relate to the topic of this episode, Black Lives Matter Forever. And it was yesterday. I was going to a local dessert store here to get a couple of cupcakes. I said, this would be a good time to celebrate getting through this very tough week. I mean, not necessarily personally at all, actually. It was just in the news. I mean, this was a really difficult week, and there have been a million difficult weeks for us all. News-wise, certainly, beside anything else. But this was a really difficult week. And I tell you, for people who are black and brown in this country, or who are Sikh in this country, or anybody, but particularly those groups I've just mentioned, it was a very difficult week here in the United States. We, of course, learned of the murder of Dante Wright, the 20-year-old boy, because that's what he was, shot dead on video by a white female police officer We learned a couple of days after that there would be a video released. We learned later on in the week that there'd be a video released of the shooting death of Adam Toledo. We saw that video and how horrifying that was as well. So 2 horrific shootings, murders by police of black or brown boys. And Adam Toledo was only 13. So, my goodness me, And it was an absolute target. It's an absolute assassination. Both of those were. And then, of course, we heard either on, I think, Wednesday night, before we got to Adam Toledo and the video, that killing of the murder of Adam Toledo happened at the end of March, right near the end of March of this year. And then the night before that, I think it was Wednesday night, late on Wednesday night, Eastern time, we learned of a mass shooting, yet another one in this country, called the US of A. We do mass shootings like nobody's business. We do, there could be a rearranging of the Montel Jordan song, This Is How We Do It. We do mass shootings like nobody does. This is how we do it. I mean, really, it's really, I'm not making light of this at all, but we are, again, the reason why this continues in our culture is because you've got the gun lobby, you've got politicians who won't stop taking money from the gun lobby, and you've got a system that allows all of these to flourish. And when you've got no laws, because the laws are being blocked in the Congress and the state legislatures are predominantly Republican. There's at least 33 Republican state legislatures out of 50 in this country, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. When you've got all that going on and all your state houses, the vast majority, more than 2/3 of them are Republican. Well, what do you expect? I hate to say it like that, but what do you expect? So you've got ALEC, that really onerous and evil group that designs these laws, that writes these laws, that allow for open carry, that allow for all these easy access to guns. And, recently the House of Representatives passed a background checks bill, which I thought was really good, that delayed the amount of time that you could prevent someone from getting a gun. The background check scenario would last 3 weeks as opposed to 2 days or 3 days. And so the background check process was detailed and more involving, and it would be a 3 or 4 week process. And that's what the House did, and I thought that was good. Now, that's not been passed in the Senate to the best of my knowledge. So you've had all of these things go on this week, all of these shootings that are happening, these shootings, including these murders. And you've got this trial where nobody knows right now in the Derek Chauvin murder trial whether or not this guy's going to be convicted of anything. We've all given our predictions. We've all given our fears and our hopes and our dreams that this guy's going to be convicted on all the charges in front of him. But, we'll see. We don't know yet, right? I've given you my take on all of that, and you have your take on all of that. We'll see what happens. So it's been that kind of a week. And then these other stories, which I haven't even got to most of them, with some really, this stuff with the Jonathan Pentland this week, pushing some white guy in the army, pushing around a black guy. Yeah, this guy is looks like a boy to me. Just even if he wasn't. The point is that this is a human being who has the right to walk the street. Excuse me, thank you very much. And you got this drunk, I don't care if he's drunk or he's sober, you got this white guy shouting at him, get the F out of the neighborhood, you don't belong here, this is a tight-knit community, if you're lost, I'll show you the way out. Who the hell are you? Are you the mayor? So this guy, this guy's pushing him, and the brother could have gone back at him and absolutely because I don't care who's in the army. I think this guy, as small as he was, would have absolutely decked this guy and made very light work of him. This guys, you imagine you're walking down your street anywhere in any country. I don't care if it's your neighborhood or if it's not your neighborhood. And some idiot like this comes up to you, gets all up in your face and says, "Get out of here. Get out of the neighborhood. This is a tight-knit community. You don't belong here. Get out. I'll carry your ass out of here. I'll show you what I can do to you." What is that madness? And no one's talking about that. The paranoia and the hatred that these folks have in their hearts, in their minds, for you. You're walking down the street, minding your business. Yusuf Hawkins was walking down a street in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn in 1989, August the 23rd. A Wednesday night, minding his own business. Responding to a used car ad in a newspaper. Yes, it was newspapers back then in 1989. No internet. Went to Bensonhurst responding to a used ad. Say it again. Used car ad. Do you want to buy a used car? Come to Bensonhurst. Here is a good. And he went there. Now, Bensonhurst is not the best of places back in 1989, but that's not the point. If this is supposedly the land of the free, right, then you are free to go and walk any street. But we know that that's not true. So then why is that anthem even being sung with that verse in it? And first of all, it's an enslavement anthem to begin with. So why the heck is there the land of the free part in there when everybody blooming well knows that it ain't free? And we all know that if we walk down certain streets, some of us, black folk, brown folk, right, Asians, if we walk down certain streets in certain parts of this country, in certain parts of California, in certain parts of New York, in certain parts of Texas, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Oklahoma, Massachusetts, right? Pennsylvania. If you walk, or any other state, you walk down certain streets, you may not be ever walking again. You may never come back. And this is the thing, the history that people pretend doesn't exist. Sundown towns. Which meant that black folk could not be in a certain part of town when the sun started to go down, when the sun set. Because when the sun started to set, our asses had to be out of there. Because this is what happens to you when you don't leave those towns before sunset. Insert your image of a lynched black person here. So, no, this is not the land of the free, as James Baldwin said. I played that to you, the actual clip from I Am Not Your Negro. And he then says after that, this is only very, very sporadically and unwillingly the home of the brave. And he's absolutely right. I didn't play that part of the clip, but he's absolutely right. It's just a lie. So you've got this bully, this white guy bullying he looks like he's only about 19 or 18 years old. And it's just cowardly. See how cowardly these folks are? So you've got all this going on, right? And Pentland now, he's a member of the Army. U.S. Army. And remember the lieutenant, the black Latino lieutenant who got pepper sprayed. So you've got one guy being pepper sprayed who's a lieutenant in the Army, and the white guy who's not an Army lieutenant, but he's in the Army. He gets to bully. He's bullying black kids, black boys, black teens. I mean, come on. And now the Army's investigating him, and he's been charged already with third-degree assault and battery. And actually, I think he should be taken out of the Army. Get rid of him. There's a lot more like him in there, too. So they've got a lot of work to do in the armed forces. And Lloyd Austin and whomever Lloyd Austin delegates to do all this work and all these bases, they've got to start doing it. You've got so many people who are KKK and who are just casual, who are casual racists in the Army and in the military in the U.S. It's just alarming. So dear listener, all of that is to say that was running very heavily in the foreground and the background, doing all this work, being busy with work, doing all that, and this is running through the. So what did I want to do to get after celebrating, getting to the end of a difficult week? Is go and buy some cupcakes, small itty bitty things. Not the slice of chocolate cake that I would otherwise indulge in, but 2 little cupcakes. Celebrate. Go to the store, got my Black Lives Matter shirt on, which you can also buy at the Politicrat.myshopify.com. You can buy that at the Politicrat Daily Podcast store at the Politicrat.myshopify.com. You can buy it there. There's several different iterations of it, and hats as well, and all kinds of things. All you have to do is search Black Lives Matter or search blackness, and or go to the quick links and you'll find it. You'll see that it's all there. And all I wanted to do is go down the street and do that. So I just literally went down to a cupcake store, and I'm sure you know which one it is. So you just go down there, and it's just amazing, And there's all these signs in windows. Well, not all, but several windows have the BLM or Black Lives Matter sign put in the windows. But no one's wearing T-shirts out on the street, Nobody's wearing T-shirts, though, But look, it's better than nothing. At least the people are putting them up in their windows so that people walking the street can look up at their windows and see Black Lives Matter. Okay, fine, that's great. And in storefronts, Black Lives Matter. Stop AAP, I hate. Good. I think those are all good things. But can you wear a T-shirt with that on it? Can you wear a hat with that on it? I don't see anybody doing that in this part of San Francisco. And I don't know for the whole city in general if that's happening or not. I've not seen it because I've not really traveled very far at all. I haven't. I really have not. So I don't know. But look, all of this is to say I wore my Black Lives Matter T-shirt yesterday. And as I was walking to that store, I go in, and it's a pink shirt, bright pink shirt. You've seen it. There are other shirts, as I've said, available at the Politicrat Daily Podcast store. I wear the pink shirt. It has Black Lives Matter on the front of it, big letters. And there's a white female store clerk. She's probably, I'd say, if I had to guess, in her mid to late 60s. Just my rough approximation. I say age for a reason, because I've gone into that store before and that establishment before, and there have been other white women who have not responded in this way and have been just genuinely professional and happen to be of a different age, much younger. So I don't know. Maybe I should mention age, maybe I shouldn't. But the point being is that she said, "Oh, that's a bright shirt." And I think the message is bright too, I said. I think it's an important message. And then she goes, "Well, it should have all lives matter on it." Black lives matter, all lives matter. And I said to myself, now, I'm black, she's white and ignorant. And perhaps racist. Most likely racist. Just given the interaction and that response. And the fact that this person has said racist things before. That's a piece of information that I am now introducing to you. I have two choices. Maybe I have three choices. The third choice, which I'm going to promote to the first choice, is to just turn around and walk the hell out of there. Don't patronize them at all. Unfortunately, I didn't make that choice. I should have. Second choice is to educate this person. I told you, though, on prior episodes, I don't have any desire to be educating somebody white about any of this. You have to do it yourself. You have to want to do it yourself. It is not my job, quite frankly, to do that for you. I'm just going to tell you straight up. It is not a black person's job, period, to sit you down and bestow upon you if you don't want to be educated, that's up to you. If you don't want to, that's up to you. We are certainly not asking anybody to lay us down with the wisdom of or the knowledge of all of your ancestry. You've got to want to do that, right? We've got to want to do that, I should say. But it's been forced down our throats in history courses, in school, in any way, on documentaries. I mean, there's not really much work we as black people have to do because it's all around us. It's shoved into us. But as James Baldwin said, I know more about you than you know about me. I had to look at you, but you never had to look at me. And that's the key. And so my whole thing with choice number 2 is, do I really want to educate? No. And I said, I'm not going to do this. So then that left me with choice number 3, because it's really exhausting to have to keep telling people who don't, many of whom don't really give a damn. Obviously, there are some people who do, but many of whom don't give a damn. The average person, of course, only 17% of this country is even on Twitter. So, yeah, there may be lots of people on Twitter who are saying, yeah, I'm down, I'm not, who are white, who are saying, yeah, I'm down and I'm not like that and I'm da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and I'm an anti-racist, or, people say I'm not right, I'm an anti-racist and da-da-da-da-da-da. But you're 17%. You make up part of 17% of the entire population of the United States. The other 83% of the people in this country are not on Twitter. And a good, 50, 60% of them are white. Black, white. And it's them, it's those individuals, the 50 to 60%, if not more, who are white. Those are the ones I'm talking about, really. The everyday person that you walk down the street and you see down the street, you make eye contact with, or they walk past you, walk. It's them, those, them. These, right? And so it's exhausting. No one should have to be doing that. Our lives aren't supposed to be about telling every single story like this. I mean, it's good to tell our stories. And we've done great things in this country. We've done great things as black people in this country. We built this place under, of course, duress and under, of course, enslavement, which, that is an accomplishment. It's not an ideal one because we were oppressed and we still are. And I'm not going to salute that. But insofar as it took where we came from and what we were subjected to, and look at where we are. We're still here. We're still here. And still doing excellent things. And we had our own kingdoms and queendoms on the African continent. We invented so many things. We invented things here. We owned our own towns and shopping centers across the U.S. and in the South. And, you got these white mobs burned them all down. Rosewood burned down. Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921. We're coming up on that 100 years anniversary, although, who wants to call that an anniversary, when our towns got burned down and these white mobs murdered black people. A thriving town called Green. So our businesses get destroyed. Oh, but you're destroying your own neighborhoods. No, they destroyed our neighborhoods. And that's the thing, right? And so who wants to tell people who don't care? Well, who wants to be spending time telling people, many of whom don't care, some who do, and I think I've, in some part, done some education on some people. I don't know. I've been told that by people, so obviously that must be the case. If I'm getting letters and notes and emails and things that tell me thank you for doing this, then obviously I guess I am doing that. And I appreciate those kind of thoughts. My whole thing is, though, that when it comes to things like what happened in that particular dessert store yesterday evening, it's exhausting. I'm talking about on that level. When you casually have an interaction with someone and someone says the most ignorant, offensive, and racist thing, like, well, it should have all lives matter on your t-shirt. And I was like, again, I was thinking, you are such a stupid, ignorant, racist piece of garbage. Right? And you're in your 60s or late 60s or mid 60s. So instead, on the other hand, as I suddenly switch, it's like, there's that part of you that just says, you mother, you. And then you just switch over. Now we change the channel. And the other channel, once I switched, was choice number 3, which was what I said to her, which was the t-shirt that has Black Lives Matter on it is a shortened version of all lives do not matter until Black lives also matter. And she said, yeah, oh yeah, she's shaking her head. she's like, yeah, that's yeah, that works for me. God, it works for you. She didn't say that works for me. I said that so I don't. Man, that's not fair. But this is just. But the whole thing left a bad taste in my mouth for 2 reasons. One, the obvious reasons, and the second, she didn't even give me the correct cakes that I asked for, the correct cupcakes. Fuck. On top of all of that, I still got the wrong she gave me the wrong blooming cupcakes. So by the time I get back home, I'm going, I start to bite. Because I was just like, I couldn't wait to just bite. If you've had a relationship with cupcakes in your life, or any kind of chocolate, or any kind of. So I just grabbed the thing, started, I don't want to bite into it. I'm like, what is this? This isn't it. And I said, really, what's it going to cost for me to go back? And I'm like, I'm not going back. Not with that, I'm not going back there. I'm going to go back there another day, or actually go back there on Saturday today and just get this cupcake swapped out. Now, I don't know if they'll accept it or not, but that's a whole nother story. I mean, it's a 24-hour, it's been in the box for 12 hours. Well, that doesn't mean anything to the relationship at the time you're listening to this, so it doesn't matter. But the point is that it's been there for less than a day, for far less than even half a day or so, or whatever. And I'm just going, far less than a day for sure. And it's been in a box, and it's been, put in optimal conditions, if you will. And it's been untouched. So I'm going to go back, no receipt. I'm going to go back there and see if I can just get the proper cupcake. But the thing is, that's a whole nother story. But the thing is like, it left a bad taste in my mouth. The obvious reason, of course, is what the hell is this person doing? Talking about the t-shirt. Now, to give you the further assessment, I did provide the opening when I said, well, there's an important message on it. I did say that. So I opened that dialogue. But the whole point is that I'm sorry, when someone wears the words Black Lives Matter on their t-shirt, right? And you're talking about how bright the t-shirt is, and you're ignoring blatantly the fact that the huge lettering on the 3 words says Black Lives and Matter. That's deliberate in my view. And you're a white person doing that? That's deliberate in my view as a black person. I'm telling you, that's deliberate. Number one, in my view. In my view. Not yours, but mine. I don't know what your view is, but in my view, that is deliberate, right? Plus, I know that this particular person has made all kinds of... I was in there and I stopped coming into that store because of her being racist. And way back, like years ago, I'm talking about 5 years ago, right? She said something, but it was something along the lines of, making the assumption that black people were always in a position of asking white folks for something. That's basically what the gist of it was, and I confronted her about it, and at that point, and I said, I'm just not going to bother going back into here again. I'm not going to bother with Yelp and giving negative reviews. I mean, I've done that before with these white establishments or white employees in these establishments who are racist, who have said racist things or who have behaved in their behavior that is blatantly racist. I did, if you listen to the newsletter extra audio that I did for Friday's episode, I gave you some very clear examples of all of these incidents. And I hope you do subscribe at politicrat.substack.com and check out that newsletter from yesterday and the audio from it. The audio you really should listen to. But my whole thing is, the bad taste in my mouth is, why on earth should I have to be going into a store and you as an employee of that store is now editorializing and making comments about what someone's wearing? So, every woman knows what that's like, right? Go into a store, you go in here, you go anywhere, and someone's making a comment about what you're wearing. Oh, that's a bright color. Ooh. If it would have been a bright color too, if it was a bright color and didn't have Black Lives Matter on it, I bet she would have said nothing, right? That's the way, based on what I know about this particular person. I bet she would have said absolutely nothing. But again, the intent, in my view, of people like this particular piece of garbage. Yeah, I'm calling her that. Because she's going to, when her life comes to a close, she is never going to evolve. That's the thing. People like this are never going to change, right? She's in her late 60s, I'm assuming. She's not going to change. Not with that attitude. Now, there are people who are in their late 60s who don't have attitudes like that, right? But there are people in their late 60s like this person who does. And all you will expect from them is more of the same until they are no longer with you on this planet. That's all you can expect from them. And that's pitiful. Although I don't have any pity for people like this. I don't play with people, as I think you've guessed, if you listen to this podcast. And that's how I am in life. That's how I am on social media. I mean, if I'm like that on life, I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not. And I'm going to be very direct with you, as I always have been, as I am in life, as I am in any format. I'm respectful to people, I think. Now, of course, not when I'm calling people all kinds of names that they deserve to be called. But I am not going to sit here and be all with people who are absolutely being disrespectful, racist, hateful, and just flat out wrong about what they're doing and behaving in ways that are completely racist and antisocial. I'm not going to just sit here and suffer fools gladly. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not that kind of black person either. I am not going to be telling people in communities to call for calm. I'm not going to tell them to be calm when these people are murdering us. No, when Adam Toledo's shot dead like that, I'm going to be walking around here calling people to be calm. Would I rather people not loot? Of course I'd rather them do that, right? I'd rather them not do that, rather. I'd rather them just not loot. But again, people are reacting to a systemic reality that is oppression. And those of you listening can take that or leave that. Those of you listening, some of you, may say, well, that doesn't give them an excuse to do what some of them are doing. I don't disagree. It doesn't provide an excuse. All I am doing is explaining what is happening. Since people don't want to, and by the way, again, I'm not going to exhaust myself. I mean, this podcast is done with an eye toward education, of course, with an eye toward galvanizing people to vote, and with an eye toward presenting an understanding about why we have to stay engaged politically. No matter where we are on the planet, not just in the United States. So, that's the thing. So my whole thing was what I said to her. And it left a bad taste for me in terms of just what left the bad taste was not what I said. What left the bad taste is this person here is commenting on my shirt and choosing deliberately to ignore Black Lives Matter on it. Contrast, there was a woman who is also white. I walked down the street a few days before, and she's the one that said, I really like your shirt. And she was being genuine about that. I really like your shirt. And actually, I gave her a business card. And she was very, for the store, of course. Couldn't pass up that opportunity. Gave her a business card, well, please check out the store. Oh, thank you, I will. It's a difference, right? Right? That's the difference, right? One of them is younger and one of them is older. That's why, again, I think some of this is to do, not to say that you don't have bigoted or racist or, rude people who are white who are 40-something or 50-something or 30-something. Of course you do. You have that. You have all kinds of people who do all kinds of things that you're like sitting there shaking your head, 22-year-olds not wearing masks. I told you about that story about the 22-year-old white woman who didn't wear a mask and just coughing and yawning and walking past me and spreading all their germs. Of course, I wore 3 masks. 3. Because a load of people around here are not wearing their masks. And we've got variants here in San Francisco. Just like you have variants in your city, in your country, wherever you might be. Right? And they're people are opening up businesses. Why are you rushing? Well, I know why. Well, I think I do. You open up your business and most people have not been vaccinated yet. Really good idea, that. And what could possibly go wrong? And just 2 weeks ago, the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, is telling you she has grave fears about what could happen in the next few weeks. And, by the time we get to Memorial Day, we could have really high rates. You've got these variants. And no one seems to be paying any attention to her. It's like with Dr. Nancy Messonnier just over a year ago when she was in the CDC. And she was saying, look, this is going to be a major thing. This virus is going to really change our lives. You need to think about this, parents, if you've got kids, and about school. You need to know that your life is going to change dramatically and very, very soon. And she said that, and virtually no one paid that much, apart from the media, but you know what I mean. But virtually no one paid a lot of attention to that. I mean, I know that Trump was pissed. Oh my God, she's telling the truth. We can't have that. And she was basically fired from the CDC. February of 2020. That was on the 28th of February, or the 29th. I think it was the 28th, a Friday of that year, last year, because the 29th was a leap day, and that was a Saturday. I remember it well, because it was the day of the South Carolina primary, and it was the day that my football club in England, Watford, beat Liverpool famously. Liverpool were on their way to a title in the Premier League. Watford were on their way to the Championship, getting relegated from the Premier League. So, I'm not going to say a word about Watford until, well, I did say something about Watford, but I'm not going to say anything about them again until next month. We'll see. But the bottom line is that I'm saying all of what I'm saying about mask wearing and all of what I'm saying about this is to show that there's decency in some people and indecency in others, right? The white person, and there have been white men also who've come up to me and said the shirt. There have been shirts I've worn, because I do like the stuff that I design. I'm sorry, I'm going to wear. I'm going to wear it. I'm going to wear some of these designs, and people have been buying them, and I want more people to buy them. I would love to have more people buying, of course. And it's great that some people are doing that. I'm really happy that people are purchasing the merchandise. I would love to have more people do it. But, again, these things take time. Businesses do not just come out and boom. If you're a celebrity and you have people doing all that for you, your name sells the product. It takes time for businesses to really get them to where you want to get to. I'm really happy that people are receptive, but it's not where I want to be. It's still a long way to go. So I do like these designs. So I genuinely wear some of the shirts that I've designed, some of the merchandise that I've designed. I genuinely wear it because I like it. I actually think it does look good. I know that's so self-serving, but that's that. So there have been times when I've walked down the street and I've had white men come up to me, mostly younger, come up to me and say, "Whoa, I really like that shirt. Where can I get one?" Boom, business card comes out. Right? You should always carry business cards with you, whatever line of work you're in. I don't tend to pull out my lawyer's business card very much. No one's seeking any legal help, and I'm in a discipline that you wouldn't ordinarily do that anyway, unless you're at some kind of social gathering event. But the point is that you, in your discipline, in your line of work, should always carry business cards with you. I don't care if you're doing something that involves the internet and you're a YouTuber, right? You even hear this now in newspaper articles. Well, YouTuber or on Twitter, YouTuber so-and-so has just been engaged to, put a business card out. If you're a YouTuber, put a business card out that has that on it and has your link or your info, your web address where they can find you on YouTube. Do it. That may seem really trite and silly or whatever you might want to call that. I don't know. But do it. Promote yourself. All of these people do it who are famous. They promote themselves. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. They all promote themselves. Why don't you? So that's a whole nother thing. So the point I'm making is that there's decent people and then there's racist people, right? And so you've got decent people who come up to you. They come up to you. I've had people come up to me. And last year when I did the Vote Early t-shirt, which is still available at a cut price, by the way, cut rate price of $20, but it's still available. And I had loads of people come up to me last year during in the run up to the November 2020 general election. Loads. And the business cards I didn't have at the time. If I had had the business cards at the time, oh God. But the point is that I've got a plenty of them. Since then, plenty. Oh, plenty. I've got business cards. I've got different business cards. But the point is that people come up to you. They really do. In this town, they come up to you, and they're like, "Oh yeah, can I see that? Is that kid? Where did you get that?" And boom. And when they express interest, boom. So always have your business cards ready. I know I'm getting back to my point, right? So I'll get some people come up to me, white, black, whomever, and Asian will say, "Nice shirt, really like that." And then boom, business card. Then there'll be someone, like the employee at this dessert store who is like, "Bright shirt, ooh. Nice shirt. It's bright. That's a really bright shirt." And I mean, right in front, you can't miss that message. Right? I mean, all week this week, by the way, I have had, and I've not said this because this is not the issue, right? That there are white people who nod to you and say, "I'm with you." That means something, but my whole thing is not to spotlight the 3% of the people who do that. It's important, it's good, but there's these 97% who, there's nothing. And it's not that they have to come up to you and say anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, yes, there have been a few times this week, because these are people who know, right? People who come up to you and go, "Hello," and they're smiling at you, and they mean it genuinely, and it's kind of like a welcoming hello. That means something, right? Because that means that they understand and that they do recognize you as a person and they do see you as a human being. And the way they say hello to you, even someone who is on a bike, she's cycling by wearing her bike, cycling uniform, right? And all the things you can say about cyclists. "Oh, no, damn selfish, rotten," right? I could go on, right? Anybody who drives a car can say a lot of things about cyclists or people who are just walking the streets or pedestrians. "Cyclists, they don't stop. They just selfish freak. And they almost crashed into my car. Damn bicyclists." And then there's this one cyclist, she's a white woman, cycling through. And she's like, "Hi, how you doing?" And you could tell. But again, my whole point here ain't to be dwelling on the 3% of people. To give people a cookie. I'm just saying that happened. But the point is that there are decent people and there are not decent people, right? There's people like that and people like the people who stop me on the street, right? And then there's people like this piece of, you know what I mean? I know I'm name calling. I gotta, again, that's one of my things. I gotta stop doing the name calling thing. It's not appealing. I know it's not. That's one of the things about me that's not good. Calling names, doing the dozens. But these people need to be called out, though. I'm not justifying myself, but excuse me, but these people need to be called out. But can you do it in a nicer way? No, I'm not going to do it in a nicer way. Why don't these people be nicer? Shit. I don't have to stand here and... Oh, dear. As you can tell, I am thankful that it is Saturday. Oh, gosh. Although the work never stops. Work never stops, though. I mean, well, it does. But I'm thankful to get through this week. But you know who isn't thankful? The mother of Dante Wright, the aunt of Dante Wright, the family of George Floyd, the family of Breonna Taylor. They're still trying to find things in this world to hold on to, right? And so many other people on this planet who we don't know. And I'm sure perhaps someone in your family, somehow, yourself or whomever is finding ways to hold on in a difficult world. You're trying every day to hold on to something. This world's very unforgiving. It's a beautiful world. There's a lot of beauty in this world. There's a lot of natural beauty. There's a lot of people who are actually decent. But they may not be within 50 miles of you. They may not be. I don't know. They may be. They may not be. You're in a pandemic. We don't know, right? You've got your family, and I hope they're good to you, and I hope you're good to them. If they're decent people, I hope you can't pick your family members, but you got family. You got spouses, right? Partners. You know, come on. You got the support system there. Most of you, all of you, I hope. You know, lucky, fortunate to have people who care and love you. You know what that means? Of course you know what that means, dear listener. And then you also know that there are people out there who don't have that, who don't. So, yep, it's been a trying week. I see, I even went on YouTube the other day and saw this. And this was from a couple of weeks ago, but I saw this just a couple of days ago. And I saw it, I was looking at something and on YouTube, because I was preparing a video for my YouTube channel for the Politicrat Daily Podcast. And I was doing a video and I looked up and on the side it was Don Lemon crying. And I said, I've got to click on this. Isn't that awful? They're crying. I've got to look. That's what social media, that's what YouTube is, isn't it? Right? Oh, someone's smiling. Oh, I'm not going to click on that. Someone's crying. Oh, I'm going to click on that. Clickbait. So there I go. Boom. And he's crying, and Cornel West is talking. And this is from April 2nd. I did this just a day or two ago. And it's Cornel West saying something, and Don Lemon just on the air live. Head down, shrieks, starts to cry. And I'm telling you, there's so many people. It doesn't matter that Don Lemon's making millions of dollars a year. It doesn't matter. I've said things about Don Lemon that certainly aren't helpful, I think, sometimes. I've said so. I'm sorry about that. I don't mean to pick on the brother. But, again, I've said things about him. But the guy has humanity. And the guy cares. I think he genuinely cares about what he does on the air. And that's one thing I will say for him. He does care. And he shows you that. And I don't think that was something for the news, for the theater. Because, a lot of people on the cable news networks, not just CNN, but all of them, they perform. It's a performance, right? For a lot of these folks. Not all of them. I think Tucker Carlson both is performing and he genuinely believes in what he's doing. This guy's had a long history of being a racist piece of garbage that he is, right? He's had a long history of that, and he's a misogynist piece of garbage as well. So this guy's had a long history of those things. So that is both performance and him being real, being himself, right? Although perhaps it's less performance than it's just him just being real, period, right? And Don Lemon, I think sometimes there's a performance, but that moment that I saw back on April, that was in April, you see this on YouTube, on CNN's channel, because I just saw CNN video, and boom. And you see him down with his handkerchief, and he's wiping it, and wiping his face with it, his eyes rather. That was real. That was a real, genuine moment, right? And it happens. I mean, I remember when I used to watch CNN, and I watched someone like a Sarah Seidner who broke down and cried. I mean, these people, they really live this stuff. These are two black people who really live, and they're journalists. And I've seen Brooke Baldwin, who had her last day on the air yesterday. I had a quick peek at that on Twitter. And, I think Brooke Baldwin's someone who cares about what she does in the news. And she signed off, and, wish her the best. Signed off. And I seen her crying on the air, crying in her story, because it means something. And you can tell when someone's performing and when someone's not. You might say that I'm performing. Oh dear. I am notably, if you can tell the mood. But then that's privilege too, right? So my mood perhaps lightened today in this episode. But in the previous 3 or 4 days, no, this is some serious stuff going on here. But this stuff doesn't stop, right? So I may be more of a chuckle person today, but I genuinely am a person that's more lighthearted than people would think. Very much so. But the reality is, I can still get killed walking down the street. We all can get killed walking our doggy. But if a police officer sees me, I can still get shot down dead. Like any of these people. Like an Adam Toledo. Like a Dante Wright. Or any other. It can still happen. So, anyway, that's my whole thing, And there's good people and there's not so good people. There's good people and there's some racist people. There are people who like to think they're good and they are racist too, right? Two things could be true at once. I hate that term. I've told you that before. And I've also said that people have to find that place for themselves. If they really want to better themselves, including myself, I've got work to do. I mean, we all do, right? If we're sitting here thinking we're the genuine article, if I sat here telling you that I'm the genuine article, I'd be lying, right? I'd be lying to me. I'd be lying to myself if I was, let alone you, dear listener. And now I've taken almost an hour of your precious time. I hope that there's something that you found in this that raises some spark for you, one way or the other. And yes, I did write a nice little letter to the establishment of that dessert place. And I also put a photo of the very same shirt in my email to them.
I'll tell you this. When I left this country in 1948, I left this country for one reason only, one reason. I didn't care where I went. I might have gone to Hong Kong, I might have gone to Timbuktu, I ended up in Paris, on the streets of Paris, with $40 in my pocket on the theory that nothing worse could happen to me there than had already happened to me here. You talk about making it as a writer by yourself. You have to be able then to turn off all the antenna with which you live, because once you turn your back on this society, you may die. You may die. And it's very hard to sit at a typewriter and concentrate on that if you're afraid of the world around you. The years I lived in Paris did one thing for me. They released me from that particular social terror, which was not the paranoia of my own mind, but a real social danger visible in the face of every cop, every boss, everybody. I don't know what most white people in this country feel, but I can only conclude what they feel from the state of their institutions. I don't know if white Christians hate Negroes or not, but I know that we have a Christian church which is white and a Christian church which is black. I know, as Malcolm X once put it, that the most segregated hour in American life is high noon on Sunday. That says a great deal for me about a Christian nation. It means that I can't afford to trust most white Christians and certainly cannot trust the Christian church. I don't know whether the labor unions and their bosses really hate me. That doesn't matter, but I know I'm not in their unions. I don't know if the real estate lobby is anything against black people, but I know the real estate lobbies keep me in the ghetto. I don't know if the Board of Education hates black people, but I know the textbooks that give my children to read and the schools that we have to go to. Now, this is the evidence. You want me to make an act of faith, risking myself, my wife, my woman, my sister, my children, on some idealism which you assure me exists in America, which I have never seen.
Welcome back. So, yeah, I think the one thing I wanted to finish with from the last block there is that, that clip from James Baldwin that you just heard, right? Where he's talking to the Professor Paul Weiss on Dick Cavett's show back in, I think it was 1968, 67, I forget which year. And he says what you just heard there. And that's the reality for us as black people, for brown people. That is the reality for us. How many black people left the United States of America? Either on their own choice or not by choice. Brown people, not by choice, right? deported. You know, James Baldwin, I had to leave. This was getting to be out of control. And just think about Josephine Baker in the 1920s and 30s. Think about Nina Simone around the same time period. Well, no, James Baldwin was in the 1940s. Nina Simone left the United States in the 1960s, late 1960s or mid 1960s. I forget exactly when. Or in the early 70s, I forget which. It was in that time period. And she lived in Paris and pretty much lived there for most of the rest of her life. And I always say she died of a broken heart. And this takes a toll. And these are people who are famous, who are black. And that comes with its own pressures. I'm simply saying that these folks, too, never mind the ordinary black folk who are going through life anonymously every day. You never hear who their names are until they're shot dead by police or some white person, right? You don't know their names. You don't know our names. We're anonymous, like most people are in the world, right? Until something good or bad happens to them. Mostly bad, because that's what we all focus on. It's what the news focuses on, right? They don't focus on uplifting, holistically beautiful stories about great human triumphs. They leave that to the end of the broadcast, which tells you something about our society and about the news business. If it bleeds, it leads. But the whole point I'm trying to make here is that you had a climate, and you still have that climate. It's never gone away for us as black people, where you've got famous people leaving. I want out. I'm done. So James Baldwin is one of them. So Nina Simone is one of them. So Josephine Baker is one of them, because the racism was so rank. And she found love where? Of all places? Paris. Gay Paris. She was in Paris, and they loved her. Jerry Lewis, by the way, got all his love in Paris, in France. They loved Jerry Lewis there. Just inserting that. It's completely apropos of nothing. But back to what I really want to talk about. Josephine Baker, James Baldwin, right? And Nina Simone and others. You know, they didn't get the love here in America. Or they saw the conditions of black people because of the oppression being foisted on them by the white society, by the white power system and power structure. And yeah, this was a really hellish place to be in the 1940s and 50s, the United States. And even before that, and it's always been when it comes to us as black folk, it's been hellish for us here. We weren't brought here by choice. We didn't decide, we didn't come here by choice. We were brought here. Forcefully, in chains, in George Floyd handcuffs. So, yeah, I mean, all this stuff happens to us. And it will still happen after these events, right? After we get justice, hopefully, in this Derek Chauvin trial. You think these things are going to stop? As I talked about the system as a killing machine in yesterday's episode. So, you know, that's why I played that clip again. This is not the terror of this is not a paranoia. This is really happening, man. This is really happening. Black folk know this. Brown folk know this. Asian people know this. You know, this is happening to us. So, you know, and when a person in a store ignores that reality by talking about how bright your shirt is and not saying anything about the message, or not just saying hello, how are you, but that's how bright your shirt is. And then this person said, I really like your shirt and what it says. You know, there's the difference between those two kinds of people. And unfortunately, well, realistically in this world, I think there's more of the people who are like the person in that dessert store. That's what I think. If that were not true, I'd get a lot more people like the person who said, that's a really nice shirt and I like what you're saying. Which is what that younger white woman did say. Is what that white guy did say to me recently. I wore a Harriet Tubman shirt. He loved it. Oh, I've got to buy that. I've got to get one of those. Where do you get one? Right? So, you know, anyway, maybe Maybe you will disagree with my assessment, but I'm telling you what my experience is. So you can't disagree with my experience. Your experience might be different, but I don't know. I don't know if you're white. I don't know if you're black. I don't know if you're Asian. I don't know what you look like. You know what I look like, but I don't know what you look like. I just wanted to add one other thing on the heels of Black Lives Matter Forever, because our lives do matter. And this society says otherwise, but our lives do matter. We are human beings. We are here, and we're going to be here. You brought us here. We are staying here. And we built this place. Right? We built this place. We didn't even get a penny for it. So we are owed everything. So our lives matter. Our lives have always mattered, and they always will matter. No matter what this society says. And it's for us as black people to stand tall here. And we will continue to do that. We've been doing it forever. We are of royal stock, shall I put it. Because no other people could go through the hundreds and hundreds of years of this kind of thing, of the enslavement of 15, 16, 17 million people destroyed in the Middle Passage, and still come out and still be where we are. And of course, there are other communities and other peoples who have gone through horror. I think immediately of the Jewish community, gone through horror, right? So no, I'm not sitting here denigrating anybody, because I stand with Jewish people. I stand with them 1,000%. 1,000%. Their core, man, when that's the thing, when Jewish people say never again, I'm totally 100% with them. I stand with them. Always, always will. Always will. And you can't let the world forget. And that's where I am with enslavement and with what's been done to us as black people. We're not going to let anybody forget. And it's never going to happen again. And I know there are people in the Republican Party who would love for it to happen again, who want it to. Some may even argue that it is happening again, given all these killings. But we're never going to have this happen again. Never again. That's damn right. Never forget, never again. I even got a t-shirt with all of that too. It's a very, I'd say, controversial t-shirt. But you can check it out. In the Never Forget, Never Again collection. But the point is here is solidarity, right? We've got to have each other's backs. And as black people, we've got to stand tall, and we've got to represent and talk about the best. We've got the best of it in terms of, look at the heritage we've got. Look at the culture. Look at the civilizations that we started. Our history is world history, right? All the things we've invented. We have a proud history, right? We do, right? Of course, here in the United States, even in the evils of enslavement, we were able to do remarkable things to keep ourselves alive. Jewish people were able to do the same kinds of thing, right? When all of these horrors were happening to Jewish people in Nazi Germany, in camps in Poland and all, and they did things to survive. That's the human spirit, man. The people survive. They found a way. That's the kind of thing. They found a way. We found a way. That's what we've got to hold on to, things like that. When things are down, when things are tough. And we're going to win. We are going to win. right? We're gonna win. And we do get setbacks. But this empire of control is on its way out. And one of the reasons why you've got all of these things going on and all these voter suppression laws coming across the U.S., these Republican state legislatures, almost 500 pieces of voter legislation to suppress black, brown, Asian, and poor voters, native voters, is because they know their empire is almost done. They know it. They're becoming a numerical minority. So they're going to fight to the death to try to hold on to their power, to hold on to power. That's what this is. That's what this is. And now you've got this officer, a white female officer. Yeah, yet again. Again, there are people who want to be part of this patriarchy so bad they can taste it. Or they're just racist people. Or both. Patricia Leo, L-I-O, of the Milton Police Department in Massachusetts. Now, there's a lovely little state of racists. There's some, and it's a very, it's thought of as a very progressive state. But go to parts of Boston. Go to Boston. You tell me how progressive it is there. If you're a black person and you go to Southie, or you're living in Southie, or you're going somewhere else, do you tell me how progressive it is? I mean, an ESPN reporter, forget her name now, black woman, talked about this a year ago or so, about how casually in 2020 you had these white boys walking up to her as a black woman and saying all this racist and misogynistic and misogynoirist stuff to her. 2020 in Boston. So, Officer Patricia Leo, L-I-O, of the Milton Police Department in Massachusetts, is accused of berating her son's 14-year-old black friend about his stance on the Black Lives Matter movement. There we go. It's kind of come full circle, hasn't it now? I began this podcast episode talking about this encounter, and I spent the better part of a whole hour talking about it, which shows you that I was not happy about it. I talked to some people about it, not just to you. You're not the first audience to hear this, okay? Like I say, there are people. That's why support networks are important, folks. Very important. You know that. So look, so this is not the first time I told that story. You're not the first people to hear it, I should say. So the thing is this, right? I started this episode with my own experience with this, right? This mild berating. It's really a berating by not having, it's the passive one. And some people will call that, it's a microaggression. It's not a microaggression. It is a thing. And it's in your face, sucker. This ain't no micro. See again, the language. I keep talking about this, as you know, dear listener. Language, and the way it's used, and how it's used, and what it's saying about a situation, and how we're thinking about it when we use a term like microaggressions. This ain't micro to me as a black person. I don't think it's micro, and I don't want to speak for every black person. I don't think that's micro. Because if it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, that ain't micro anything. And so I started with the more passive racist, and now I conclude in the name of symmetry with an instance of a blatant, more active racist named Officer Patricia Leo, L-I-O, of the Milton Police Department. She's become famous, everybody. She's accused, according to the New York Times, of berating her son's 14-year-old. There's a theme here. Dante Wright, 20 years old. Adam Toledo, 13 years old. And now, a 14-year-old. All of the people doing the berating and the killing, white police officers. 2 of them white women, 1 of them a white man. That's interesting. So Allison Walker, Allylson, Waller, not Walker. 2 L's in Allison with a Y, as in ally, son, S-O-N. And then her last name is Waller, W-A-L-L-E-R. April the 16th, 2021, that would have been yesterday, updated today, April 17th, 2021. I'm going to read a small part of this. The headline, white police, well, I'll just read it, then I'll go back to the headline. Here's the part of it. A white Massachusetts police officer will face criminal charges in connection with an off-duty episode in which she is accused of berating a black teenager, a friend of her son, over his support of the Black Lives Matter movement, a court official ruled earlier this week. An assistant clerk with the Dedham, D-E-D-H-A-M, District Court ruled on Thursday after a probable cause hearing that criminal charges against Patricia Leo, L-I-O, an officer with the Milton Police Department, could proceed. The episode that prompted the charges occurred on September 19, 2020. Now, didn't I just say something to you, dear listener, about Massachusetts and Boston and a black woman on ESPN who talked about someone in Boston in 2020? People, white males in Boston, coming up to her and saying racist stuff to her on more than one occasion. Different people, white women, white women and white men. Over and over and over again. 2020. Talking about fried chicken to her and all kinds of other racist, stereotypical, racist bullshit. Coming up to her and saying these things and a lot worse. Oh, yeah. And on September 19th, 2020, Officer Leo's son had invited 2 of his friends. Remember, in yesterday's newsletter, I actually put this in about 75% of white people in America don't have any black friends, any brown friends, any native friends at all, any Asian friends at all. Please read the newsletter and subscribe to it. Politicrat.substack.com. 1 black and 1 Latino to his home in Westwood, Mass. To watch a Boston Celtics game and slept over, the Boston Globe reported. Officer Leo is accused of confronting the black teenager who is 14 about his stance on the Black Lives Matter movement. So wait a minute. As it's written here, this officer just went up to him and started mouthing off about where he stands on Black lives. And I don't know if it's about the Black Lives Matter movement or whatever. The point is, Black Lives Matter forever. And movement, whatever, I don't care. If you stand against that, you're a racist. If you stand against that, you're racist. If you stand against that, you do not care about black lives. You don't care about black people's lives. You don't care about black people, period. This woman is absolutely nuts as well. She is also facing allegations that she hit her husband when he tried to intervene in the situation. The lawyer for the teenager and his family said, "Are you kidding?" So on top of that, she's angry, right? She's racist, and she's violent. The trifecta. And she's a cop. What could possibly go wrong? Has she shot anybody? What could possibly go wrong? In her own home. So first of all, I wonder which one of those 2 white parents allowed and said to their white son, it's okay to invite the Latino and the black person over to sleep over. I wonder which one of them gave the permission. And we talk about people wearing pants in the house. I think the man must have been the one, don't you think? Don't you think? Because I can't imagine that Officer Leo, L-I-O, would be the one who invited the black person and the Latino to come over and sleep over at their house. I get the feeling that the husband did. And maybe he overruled her, or maybe he said, yep, yes, son, invite them over. But the cop, the white female cop, had other ideas. And maybe, in my view, maybe, she was overruled. And so, when her husband intervened, again, I am speculating. She then hits him. How are you going to go and berate? How are you berating someone in your own home who didn't do anything to you? And he'd be foolish to do something to you in your own home. Because you know that didn't happen, as do I. And neither of us was there. None of us was there. Guy's 14. I don't care if he was 84. Why are you going up to someone in your own home? And even if it's your own home, you don't have the prerogative to start attacking people in your own home on a whim for nothing. If I invite you over, right, and I then start berating you for nothing, that makes me some kind of crazy, among many other things. But I'm not going to dismiss this as, oh, well, she's just lost something in her mind. It's gone. I'm not going to let you off the hook, Officer Leo, L-I-O. You've got a badge. You've got a gun. You're a cop. And you've got that mindset. And do you understand now, dear listener, why it is that black folk are really scared when the police are around, and brown people really scared when the police are around? The enslavement patrols are still here. He confronts this brother. He's a teenager. Again, it doesn't matter how old he is. And just like it really doesn't matter how old the woman was in the store who said that BS to me. Oh, your shirt is so bright. Shut up. I don't comment on your clothing. It's like, just do your job, serve me my friggin' cupcakes, and I'll be on my way. Which is the equivalent of have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. Come on now. This is just crazy. Officer L-I-O will face charges of assault to intimidate and assault and battery on a household member, according to court records. She is set to be arraigned in late May. She's been on the force for nearly 20 years. And you know, I think of Officer Leo, L-I-O, the same way I think about Kim Potter, Amber Geiger, the Betty there, her name is Betty, or Betsy, whichever of the two, in Oklahoma, who murdered Terrence Crutcher. I think of this officer in the same vein as those. I do. I don't know if she has had a record, but she could be on her way to one if she's not convicted of these charges. Because what's to say, or what's not to say, that she hasn't or will not do something in the way of killing a black teenager that she next comes across? If she's going to berate a 14-year-old black teenager in her own home and do so on top of that regarding Black Lives Matter and where he stands on it, where the fuck do you think he stands as a black teenager? Where the fuck do you think he stands? And she's going to do that in her own home to a guest that was invited as a guest of her son and obviously of the husband, clearly. I mean, that's not necessarily true, but I would not imagine, although there's some psychopathic people, some white people who are psychopathic. I mean, just watch the movie Get Out. That is not far from any truth. I mean, okay, taking the brain out. Well, wait a minute. That's not far either. Go and read Harriet Washington's book, Medical Apartheid. Apartheid. Excuse me, that's the proper pronunciation of it. But if you're going to invite, and then you're going to berate him, if she's going to over Black Lives Mattering, what do you think Officer Leo, L-I-O, would do on the street when she sees a black teenager, male, female, or otherwise, right? You see a trans person walking the street, black trans woman, and imagine Officer Leo. I mean, you know what she's going to do, don't you? Or if the person is black straight, black gay, black non-gender conforming, right? And Officer Leo comes up to any of us, doesn't matter what our status is, what our origins are, what our makeup is, what our constitution is, our being, in our black being, and she comes up to you with that attitude, and she's got a gun and a badge and a taser and doesn't know the difference, and even if she does, and she's got a gun, a badge, and a taser, that's lethal. That's a white person ready to kill. You, me, us. And you got and I'm not going to read the whole thing. You got to read this. This is something else. I mean, this is just crazy. This is just crazy. I haven't even got to all of this article yet. This is really bad. I've got to do this. If I don't read some of this to you, I'll be doing a disservice. The Milton Police Department said, well, we're still doing our internal investigation and we have zero tolerance for any biased behavior, domestic violence, or aggressive behavior towards children. You know what you should do? Get rid of this officer. The deputy chief said the department is, quote, very concerned about her case. Very concerned about her case, very concerned about her, or very concerned that a 14-year-old black boy was set upon as a guest in her home, set upon by a wolf. Just jumped, listen to this. Risa King, a Boston lawyer and mother of the black teenager, R-I-S-A, King, common spelling as in Dr. Martin Luther King, said in an interview that she had received, quote, a troubling text followed by a phone call from her son the evening of September 19th. Oh my gosh. The officer says, that he posted something, claimed that he posted something negative toward cops on social media. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, sure he did that. He's going to While the three boys were watching the Celtics game, Officer Leo, L-I-O, went downstairs and eventually started berating the teenager about his, quote, his stance on Black Lives Matter and her beliefs that his stance on BLM was inappropriate. What the hell is this? What the hell is this? I don't care. And he didn't, by the way, post anything. In fact, had not written the social media points in question, and did not express any intent to engage. So what is this woman doing? What is this cop doing? According to testimony at a probable cause hearing on Tuesday, Officer Leo, I'm not going to say it, and this is very serious, had asked the other teenager, who is, and I'm not going to say the word that the New York Times writer writes, I'm going to say Latino, right? Because A, the word that they use here, Alison Waller uses, is not a race, and B, it's offensive. Who is Latino? If he believed in Black Lives Matter and also referred to him as an immigrant. So wait a minute. This is a stone cold racist piece of garbage with a badge, with a gun, who has obviously invited, and I guess it's obviously the husband who did this, right? Who clearly has invited these two individuals, a black person and a Latino person, over. A brown person, right? Has invited a brown person and a black person to sleep overnight with their white son, right? And I bet you it's the husband that did that, and he overruled Officer Leo. No, I'm not going to say it. So then she's calling the brown brother an immigrant? Motherfucker window. What are you doing? What are you doing? So she's a racist. She's racist, right? But the officer's lawyer said, although the officer had spoken to the black teenager about some of the perceptions she felt Black Lives Matter projected onto police, race was, quote, never a component. It's like Reagan, right? Who, hey, he's the guy that campaigned his first campaign stop in Philadelphia, Mississippi, in Neshoba County, Mississippi, right? And if you know about Neshoba, Neshoba, you know what county that is in Mississippi, and you know what happened there in that there county in Philadelphia, Mississippi, on June the 21st, 1964. You know what happened in that there county, right? Here's a hint. Andrew Goodman, James Chaney, Mickey Schwerner. And by the way, you can look that up. I'm not going to spend time doing that now. There may be an episode coming up that in a couple of months, that may elucidate further. This is so strange. So evil. Not strange at all, but evil. Race was never... Yeah, you go. It's like what Reagan said, right? That's what I want to finish with. We've finished my point on of that last piece I just said. It's like Reagan. There you go again. It's like there you go again, trying to deny that race is any issue in this country. That racism is any issue. There you go again. And so, of course, the husband now, oh no, she didn't hit me. Officer Leo, well, I'm not going to say it. You know, the husband takes the two kids home, right? Who testified he was not hit. Well, of course, right? He's now going to straighten up and fly right and say, no, she didn't hit me. When obviously there were witnesses who obviously said otherwise. Obviously that happened, right? We just want to see this officer accountable for her outrageous behavior toward the kids. Yeah. Oh, but race is not a factor. Race was never a component because she called one of them an immigrant and then said to the other of them, what's your stand on Black Lives Matter? Oh, what's your stand on it? It's obvious what your stand is on it. It's crazy, isn't it? It's not crazy at all, actually. It's the racist behavior that we and you have come to expect, right? From people like this. Black Lives Matter forever. Thank you very much for listening to this edition of the Politicrat. I'm Omar Moore.